Now I'm going to show you how to write the equation of a linear function in slope-intercept form when you're given two coordinates that the function passes through. Again, I'm going to remind you the slope-intercept form of an equation is y equals mx plus b. And the information we need to find is the m value, which is the slope, and also the b value, which is the y-intercept. Now, given what you've previously learned, if we look at both of these coordinates, neither of them are the y-intercept, because the y-intercept is where x equals 0. And in both of these coordinates, the x value here is 5 and here is 4. So neither of these are the y-intercept because the x value is not 0 in either of them. So what we have to do to begin is find the slope. Now, a slope formula that you previously learned was the slope is equal to y2 subtract y1 divided by x2 subtract x1. So this is the change in y divided by the change in x. And what we're going to do, since this is the first coordinate that was given, we'll call this the first x value, or x1, and we'll call this the first y value, or y1. And since this is our second coordinate, we'll write this as x2, since 4 represents an x value in the second coordinate, and this y2, since -5 represents the y value in the second coordinate. Now, using this formula, what we will do is substitute the value -5 for y2, and we'll substitute 5 for y1, and we'll divide this by the value 4, which is x2, and we will subtract the value of x1, which is 5. Now, if we subtract these, -5 subtract 5 is -10, and 4 subtract 5 is -1. And when we simplify this, since we don't want to have a -10 divided by a -1, we can divide this to simplify it. -10 divided by -1 is 10. This is the slope. So we know this part of the equation. Now we can figure out the y-intercept by substituting this into our equation. So let's just start with this. Y equals 10x plus b. Now, in order to find this b value, we have two coordinates that we could use to represent our x and y. Right now, we can't figure out b because we have 3 unknowns. So in order to solve for this b value, we have to simplify this so that there's only one unknown value. So take one of these coordinates. It does not matter which coordinate you use. I'm going to use this first coordinate because, again, it's the first one given. So I'm going to replace my y value with 5. And I'm also going to replace my x value with 5 because in this coordinate, 5 is both the x and the y value. And then plus b. Now, if you look at this equation, there's only one single unknown variable, b. So if we multiply 10 and 5 together, we get 50 plus b. Now, what we need to do is we need to isolate b here. So we have 50 plus b. So to isolate b, we would need to subtract 50 from both sides of this equation. And when we do that, 5 subtract -50 is -45. And 50 subtract 50 is 0. So this is just isolated to be b. Our b value is -45. So when we write this equation, now that we know the slope, the m value, and the y-intercept, which is the b value, here's what our equation is going to look like. It's 10x subtract 45. And this is the equation of this function in slope-intercept form.